Today.
Good. How are you doing,
Look,
Andrew?
I'll try to make this quick. It was awful generous
Cool.
of you to let me up. So I know that you do want to get off. I just wondered if we could take civil rights.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So what's your stance on rights?
I think everyone has the right to participate in society freely, regardless of their um, sexual background, race, etc. Like,
And do you agree with me that rights are a social construction, not a material reality?
yeah, I think there are like a lot of intuitive rights that people call like human rights. And
Well, wait,
we
wait,
see
wait. Hang
those
on,
like,
hang on. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And what's an
uh,
intuitive right?
it's like a right that you just like that just kind of like makes sense to most people, right? Like it's like like it's not something that you can like concretely base in any objective, you know, perspective, but it's something that like a majority of people would consider to be just like, yeah, that makes sense.
Can you give me an example of that?
An example of that would be like the right to self-defense.
Do you think that that's intuitive to most people?
I'd argue it's probably intuitive to most people that most people agree that if you are being attacked, you have a right to defend yourself.
So the people whose intuition is that maybe self-defense does not equal unaliving, right?
Mhm.
Are those people intuitively wrong?
No, like again, I wouldn't say right. Like it's just about like what a majority of people. Again, I'm not saying that your rights derive from the fact that a majority of people believe this. I'm
Hmm.
saying that there is a
Well, what do
that
they
most
derive
people
from
when we.
then?
Uh, it's a good question, right? Like there's no way that we can objectively do that. So I agree with you that there is like that rights come from like essentially that rights are like social constructs essentially,
Okay,
and that you
okay,
have to rely on some governing authority to
hmm
protect them.
okay. So basically, essentially, rights don't exist.
Yeah, essentially, right?
Okay, gotcha.
At least in an objective universal sense, right? Like obviously we have rights in America, but
Well, I mean, kind of, right? So we have what are construed as being rights, but obviously they can be violated at any
privileges.
time. Yeah, privileges, right? So
Yeah.
I define a right being a privilege absent duty. Would you agree with that?
Explain that to me a little bit. What is privilege absent
Well, an
duty? Like,
entitlement, sorry, entitlement absent duty.
um, my concern comes from like, where do you get this entitlement from?
Well, because the only way that I ever see rights being applied is that it's an X thing which you're entitled to, but there's not actually a duty that comes with the application of the entitlement. So like you have the freedom of speech, but there's no duty to actually speak out. You have the right to own a gun, but there's no duty to buy a gun, right? These are just basically entitlements that you have.
Yeah, yeah, I agree, right? Like they are entitlements, right? But I don't think that they would be rights if you were forced to do something, right? Like we have the right to,
Right.
like you
I
said, we have
agree.
the
I
right
agree.
to
If
like
you were forced to
religion, but
do it, it wouldn't
then
be
it
much
wouldn't
of an
be a right
entitlement,
anymore.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so now that we've kind of just given an overview that we agree that you're talking about civil rights specifically, and you say things like, for instance, let's say have a right to be married. You would agree
Mhm.
that that's true?
Yeah, I would agree.
What makes that intuitive?
Because you, I don't think I think it is intuitive that you shouldn't restrict people from participating in society, the same way, or you shouldn't restrict them from participating in society the same way as other people do, based off of factors that they can't control.
Like schizophrenia?
Yes.
Okay, but clearly we limit people with schizophrenia from participating in society, even though that's a factor they can't control.
How so?
Well, sometimes we'll limit their movement. Sometimes we'll, lock them away inside of facilities. Sometimes we'll force them to take drugs that they may not want to take for their own good. There's all sorts of things that we do to force people to do certain activities based on the fact that they have conditions outside of their control.
Um, if we do that, I don't think we should. I don't think we should force people to take drugs based off of like just because they have a like schizophrenia or something. I don't believe that we should lock them up. The only time I think
Well,
that we
yeah,
should
hang on, hang on.
restrain them
I
is
I don't
if
mean
they
to cut
are
in. I don't mean to
causing
cut
harm to
in.
other
Just
people.
very briefly, let me cut in. But I think you do believe that. So, for instance, if you had a drug addict who was taking, heroin in the street, and he was, admitted for medical care. And they basically strapped him down and gave him methadone until he was off the heroin. You would agree that that's probably okay to do.
I don't think we should though. I think if somebody is
But he's not a
doing drugs
rational
for,
agent. He's not rational.
I still don't think that we should force them to sober up, or that we should force them to seek like medical care, right? Like I think that they should be allowed to do those things,
Why?
because as long as it doesn't affect, as long as,
Yeah, but it does
go ahead.
affect other people. I mean, just the nature of you being an addict and addicted to heroin, the likelihood that it's going to affect nobody except you is very low.
I mean, maybe in a social sense, right? Like, I guess it'll affect how we like how we carry relationships. It'll probably affect like family dynamics, but generally, as long as you're not causing like undue harm on people, I think that's fine. Go
Yeah,
for it.
the harm principle. But this is confusing to me. I don't understand this. So let's pretend for a second that you were the unilateral dictator of a
Mhm.
country and it had a lot of heroin and fentanyl addicts in it. And you put in a decree that the heroin and fentanyl addicts, which were found on the streets, were going to be admitted into care facilities, and against their will, they were going to make them sober up. They were not going to allow them to have drugs at all, and they were going to keep them there for a duration until they were sobered up and they were off the drug. How in the world could that really have a terrible social side effect? That sounds like it would be an awesome policy to me.
It would probably be beneficial for like, well, but I still think that
Well, it would be
individually it would
beneficial to
wrongly
them
force it
too,
on
right?
people. Maybe, but I don't think we should force people to do things just because it's beneficial. It's also beneficial that I have a proper diet, but I don't think somebody should come in and force me to eat, the proper amount of macro and micronutrients, and only eat Swiss rolls in moderation and
Yeah,
things like
sure,
that. I think
but
that
your
this,
diet's not going to impair your mental faculties and increase your rate of criminality generally. It's not really going to have these same types of social side effects that you're going to find
okay.
with a drug
I
addict.
also don't think
So
people
I'm
should
just
stop me from
curious.
drinking alcohol, right?
Yeah,
Like,
well,
drink
okay.
like being drunk will cause is going to increase the chances of me committing crime, but I don't think that you should stop me from drinking or
Yeah,
being an
so yeah,
alcoholic
yeah,
even.
yeah, yeah. So I understand what you're saying. Here's a delineation point, but let's assume for a second that in the most hypocritical of fashions, you allow everybody to continue to have alcohol if they choose to have alcohol, but you just took away all of their, right? Who cares?
Mhm.
Wouldn't that still be a great policy?
I again, like, it depends on, like, if you're measuring greatness and like what is going to have the largest like benefit on society, sure, right? But I don't think it is good to force people to do what we think is good for them just
But
because
we force
we
people to
think
do
it's good
things
for
that are
them, right?
good all the time. I mean, we force them to stop at
Well, we
stop
shouldn't.
signs. We force them to cross at crosswalks. We force them to do basically all sorts of social behaviors. We force them to wear clothes in public. We force them to do tons and tons and tons and tons of activities that we think are good for the social good. Why in the hell can't we just be like, look, no needle for you, no shooting up in the street for you. You're going to a care facility till we can clean your ass up. Why? That seems like it's a great idea to me.
Because it has to do with like the probability of causing undue harm on other people, right? Like shooting up heroin, right, is not does not directly mean, or like um
Well, what harm does you walking
undue.
around naked do to people?
I think the only reason
Wait,
we
wait.
do
You were
that is
about to
because the
say that
hold
you.
on, no, no, no.
Oh my God, you
Well,
can't
I
really.
wanted to
All
expand.
right, all right. Go ahead.
No, no, I wanted to expand because I realized what I was about to say, and I was like, that's not exactly what I'm trying to say.
All right.
I wanted to make sure, like, that is not what I was trying to say, right? The reason that we do that is because we have like social like taboos around nudity, right? Um, and those generally do cause like some sort of like harm on other people, right? If you're walking around
No,
naked,
what?
um,
What do they cause that's harmful?
it could cause like sexual trauma responses. It could cause yeah, like it's a social construct, right? Like
So it's just
um,
it's just a taboo.
yeah, it's just a taboo, right?
Yeah.
But I think that if it wasn't a taboo, like there's nothing inherently wrong about walking around naked. Like
Right. So
it's just a
then,
social taboo.
so the thing is, though, is that would you recommend though a law that you just think is a stupid taboo?
I generally think it's a pretty stupid taboo. Yeah, like
Really? Like you would want a 60-year-old naked man to walk around a 5-year-old girl in public?
again, it's not that I want it. And second, like it's again, that's the issue. Is like it's a like there's a social taboo around it, right? Remove the social taboo, and it's fine. It's not like there's nothing
Okay,
inherently
but there's
wrong
only a
about being
social.
naked around
Well,
people,
right,
right?
but let's expand on that then. It's only a social taboo that people can't have sex in public in front of children.
It's a good argument. That's a good argument.
But my guess is you don't want them to, right?
Correct. Yeah, I would
Yeah,
say
and I
yes.
and I don't want them to either. I want to force them to not be able to do. Am I an evil totalitarian dictator for that, do you think? That I would apply the use of force to tell them they can't have sex in public in front of other people, including children? Or am I awesome and you're voting for me? If you're
I
in,
think that
if
makes
you're in,
sense.
can
I think
have sex in public land, and I run for office and I say, when I'm in, if you have sex in public, straight to jail. Are you voting for me?
yeah, I think that's probably a good policy. Yes.
Yes, awesome. So then let's expand it, right? If you're on heroin out in public in front of everybody and you're up, you've seen like the videos of those dudes they look like zombies in the street when they're all leaned over and have you seen that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah,
know
yeah.
them.
Like, I don't want those people to have horrible ends. I want a good, strong central authority to come put them in vans and take them to treatment facilities and make them clean up.
I don't think you should make them clean up though. I think that
Ah, man, come
hold
on.
on. I think they still have. Here's the thing, right? If you want to remove it public, like I guess there's an argument for that, right? But I don't think that you should force them to stop doing heroin. Just give them spaces to do it, right? They have their home, like they have areas where they can do these things.
Yeah, but the problem is that even if you let them do it in their home, in their attics, inside of their home, there's going to be a bleed over effect out into the public. People still will shoot up out in public. Maybe it's just situational, right? They're going to go for their fix. So let's say they shoot up and then they have to go to a family function or something like this, and their high
Mm-hmm.
starts to wear off. They're going to shoot up in public again. Why not just send
Sure, but
them
we
off
make
to
that
care?
exception for alcoholics too, right? We say like alcoholics, like if you drink, right, and you start getting sober once you're out at a family gathering or something, right, then they're gonna drink in public, quote
There's
unquote.
been public campaigns against severe alcoholism inside of the United States since prohibition. Okay, we've done everything we can to implement as many social policies against alcohol and tobacco as we possibly can. But in the case of fentanyl and these harder drugs, they're far more addictive and they tend to kill you way faster. And they don't generally, alcohol is not turning people into zombies who are healed over in the middle of the street. Sometimes people will leave a bar drunk or something like this. I get that. I understand. Maybe it's not preferable. But if we have to draw a line, can't we do it at heroin, fentanyl, these harder drugs, and just send these people off to care facilities?
No, because again, I don't think that you should force them to go get care if they don't want care.
Yeah, why not? Just like we force them to wear clothes, and just like we force them to cross at the sidewalk, and just like we force them to stop at red lights, and just like we force them to do all sorts of things which are good
Sure, but with
for
all those things,
society.
like with like clothing, right? Like maybe you regulate it out in public, but you shouldn't like regulate if someone can be naked in their home, right?
Well, yeah,
Like
I
so, why
think you
can't I go?
should. Should you be able
You
to
think
stand in front of your open window naked?
no again because you're displaying that to the public, right? But if I'm or whatever, right?
But so here's the thing. Even inside of private property, then no, we still have to make exceptions, don't we?
Exception, sure, but not abolition, not like banning it.
Why not? Why not ban it? Why not just ban these social behaviors which are so detrimental to society? What's the worst that can happen? It sounds like you're just concerned about a slippery slope effect, right? You're just concerned that, well, if we stop the heroin addict, what's next? They're going to make us wear clothes in the street. And then what after that? It sounds like a pretty good society to me.
So at what point? But at what point do you stop it on the other end, right? Like now, do you force me to have like a proper diet, right? Do you force me to exercise regularly because it's
Well,
good for me? Because like now I can contribute better to
I don't think
society
it's
overall.
easy to even determine necessarily what a proper diet is, but it's really easy to determine heroin's bad for everybody to take.